Beneath the grass, where it's peaceful and quiet, there's a whole world that most people don't even think about, the world of ants. In these hidden places, God has placed lessons for anyone who wants to pay attention. Every ant has a job and works hard for a reason. They carry things much heavier than themselves, not because they want praise, but because God created them to be hardworking and dependable. If you observe closely, you'll notice that ants don't need a leader or boss telling them what to do. Nobody shouts instructions or forces them to work. They get things done because it's simply a part of their nature. Ants cooperate, gather food, prepare for the future, and make sure their home stays safe. Their teamwork and effort show us the importance of discipline, wisdom, and order, even in the tiniest parts of God's creation. But one day, as sunlight poured down and the ants were busy as usual, something unusual happened. The lesson God wanted to share through the ants was about to change. It would prove how even the smallest creatures can teach us big lessons about God's wisdom and His way of putting things in order. Inside the crowded tunnels, ants moved in lines, working hard to push, carry, and store food. Among them was a small ant named Slackster. Unlike the others, he stopped to sit on a crumb and watched his busy colony. He let out a big sigh because he felt tired and worn out. Slackster started imagining a world where every ant could relax, take it easy, and have a break from all the work, maybe even go on strike. Suddenly, he woke up with an idea and thought, "Why do we have to work every single day?" Slackster asked quietly, his voice showing he really wanted something different. "Why are we always carrying things, storing food, and preparing for the future? Isn't there more to life than just doing the same tasks over and over? What if, just for today, we all took a break and did nothing?" Slackster climbed onto a smooth stone in the middle of the tunnel, making himself taller so everyone could see him. He cleared his throat and spoke loudly, grabbing everyone's attention. "Hey, friends," Slackster started. "Have you ever thought about why we work so much? Every day we carry crumbs, store seeds, and try to keep everything perfect. But what if we did things differently? What if, just for one day, we took a break and enjoyed the life God gave us, instead of always rushing around?" His words spread through the tunnels, and some ants stopped what they were doing, thinking about what he said. Others listened closely, interested in his new idea. The usual busy atmosphere in the colony began to slow down as Slackster continued. "I wish we could rest when we're tired and spend time together, not just work all the time. Maybe if we stopped for a bit, we'd realize there's more to life than just chores." The order and teamwork in the colony started to fade as his message reached more ants. Slackster's voice was hopeful and made everyone curious, but his idea also challenged the wisdom found in Proverbs 6:6-8, showing that even one ant's words can make a whole group think differently about what's important. When Slackster spoke up about wanting to rest, everything in the ant colony changed. Before, the tunnels were full of busy ants working together, carrying crumbs and seeds and making sure everything was in order. But after Slackster's words, everything stopped. The ants were confused and didn't know what to do. Piles of crumbs and seeds were left everywhere, blocking the paths. Some ants wandered around with nothing to do, others got bored, and their home became messy and disorganized. After a while, the ants just ate the leftover food right where it was instead of putting it away for later. At first, it seemed like there was more food than ever, but without planning and teamwork, their supplies started to disappear fast. Soon, there wasn't enough food for everyone, and the colony got smaller. The tunnels were quiet and empty, and the ants felt sad as they realized how much they had lost. Because the ants stopped working together to store and organize food, their home fell apart. Without everyone helping out, the colony lost its sense of purpose and togetherness. The way they used to live, the way God wanted them to live, was forgotten, and soon the problems were everywhere. Food was gone faster than they could replace it, and the colony shrank as ants got weak or left to find food somewhere else. What used to be a busy, happy place became empty and lonely. The ants learned a tough lesson. Working together, being organized, and staying united aren't just things they have to do. They're special gifts from God that help everyone. When these are ignored, bad things happen to the whole colony. The quiet tunnels made the ants realize how important it is to follow God's plan. Losing food and friends showed them that ignoring wisdom only brings trouble and sadness. Not following God's plan caused the ants to feel unhappy and lost. The good things about hard work disappeared quickly. The ants saw that if even one ant questions what's right, it can lead many others away from what's best. But even though their food was gone and their tunnels were empty, they still had hope. The ants realized that the only way to fix things was to start working together again and follow God's plan. That was the only way to bring back the peace and happiness they had lost. The story wasn't over, but now the ants understood. When they stopped working, all the good things stopped too. The only way to get back what they lost was to return to God's way and work together again. Just when the ants felt confused and hopeless, Grit showed up at the entrance of their colony. He was confident and calm, even though everything seemed messy. Grit had carried a big crumb all the way from outside, proving how sticking with hard work pays off. Grit looked at the blocked tunnels and the worried ants, then gently put down his crumb as a sign of hope and effort. Everyone waited for him to speak. Grit didn't get mad or blame anyone. Instead, he spoke kindly, sharing what he had learned from working hard and trusting God. "Friends," he said, "when we forget why we work, everything falls apart. If we stop working, we lose our food and our homes, and we lose the peace God wants for us. Without work, there's no harvest, and without discipline, blessings disappear. God's way is a gift, not a burden. Every crumb and seed we collect brings us closer together." Grit's wise words cleared up the confusion, almost like sunshine after a storm. The ants felt more hopeful and remembered their purpose. Grit's return wasn't just about coming back. It reminded everyone that teamwork, discipline, and wisdom are what make their colony strong, just like the lesson in Proverbs 6:6-8. Seeing Grit's loyalty and calm leadership made the ants realize how important it is to be organized and work hard. His words gave them hope, and they decided to get back to their jobs and restore their home, looking forward to the good things that come from working together. Grit's arrival brought hope to the struggling ant colony. Calm and confident, he placed his crumb at the entrance and spoke kindly to the anxious ants. Grit reminded everyone that following God's wisdom and working together was what made their home strong. His gentle encouragement inspired the ants to return to their jobs and rebuild their community. Even Slackster, who had caused the trouble, felt moved by Grit's words and decided to help. Forgiveness grew in the tunnels, and the ants became friends again, ready to restore their home together. With renewed purpose, the ants worked side by side, cleaning up and organizing their colony. Crumbs and seeds were gathered and sorted, tunnels were repaired, and laughter filled the air. The colony transformed from a place of confusion to one of joy and teamwork. Every ant contributed, showing that wisdom is lived out in action by caring for their home and each other. Through forgiveness, effort, and trust, the ants grew stronger and united, ready to face new challenges together. Their hard work brought lasting happiness and order, proving that working together is the key to a thriving community. As the ants began to rebuild their home, they remembered a lesson from the Bible that matched what they were going through. The Bible gives us helpful advice when we feel lazy or have trouble working with others. Proverbs 6:6-8 says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief officer or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest." God wants us to notice the ant, even though it's small. Ants work hard and do their jobs, even when no one is telling them what to do or cheering them on. Each ant helps because it matters, not because someone is making them. Everyone does their part to help the whole group. God wants us to learn from the ants' hard work, teamwork, and self-control. Even without a boss watching, the ant keeps gathering food and building its home. She doesn't complain or skip her chores. She just does them because she knows they're important. The ants in the story changed too. They stopped arguing and got organized again. Every time they helped each other, cleaned or carried crumbs, it was like they were saying thank you for their home and for the order God gave them. By working hard and being humble, they didn't just fix up their home. They also found happiness by being together as a team. We should try to be like ants. We should be faithful, kind, and willing to help out. Not because we want praise, but because it's the right thing to do. Real wisdom is not just knowing what's right, but actually doing it, even in small ways every day.